Hello. January is not a month for hustling. It's a month for resetting your nervous system. How does it feel to hear that? January is not a month for hustling. It's for resetting your nervous system. How does it feel just to hear that? Does it bring you relief to hear that sentence? Resistance, maybe? Like, oh, what are you saying there? I've already started hustling. Does it bring a little bit of guilt? Oh, we fall for that again? Well, if you feel any of these, then you are exactly where you need to be for this conversation. Hi, I'm Vassia Sarantopoulou. I'm a licensed psychologist. And my focus is on perfectionism and burnout, how we can recover after burnout, how we can reset our nervous system after burnout. And today I want to talk about why January often feels heavy, not necessarily because of too many tasks, but for other reasons, more emotional reasons, psychological reasons. And it feels heavy, even though it's supposed to feel like a fresh start. It's supposed to feel rejuvenating and refreshing. But it's already the 14th of January and we are dragging our feet. Do we feel that? Do we have that sensation already? Pressure? So many of us have entered January with this subtle belief that last year didn't go as well, didn't go well enough. And now we need to make it up. So we start with that belief. Now I'm going to make it up. And for me, I was just thinking about that the other day. For me, it sounds like a little bit like an invisible Santa Claus logic. What do I mean with Santa Claus? Like Santa Claus is coming every year, according to the story. And the kids who behaved get presents, and the kids who didn't don't get presents. So there's this list that Santa Claus has. And we're kind of doing the same thing to ourselves. We start the year with self-criticism by saying, well, we didn't do well last year, so now we have to do better if we want to make it up to the good list next year, December 2026. So we start with that self-criticism. I need to, to set some new goals. I need to do better. I need to work harder. I need to be more disciplined, more. And we camouflage that self-criticism as motivation. We call it discipline. We call it new year, new me. Do you hear the criticism again? New year, new me. What does that mean? We don't like the old me? The version of me who last year struggled, got tired, needed support, had limits. That version of me needs to be replaced? Is that wrong to be me, or that old version of me? Do you hear that when we say new year, new me? Yes, I hear the motivation, but I also hear the self-criticism. And then January comes. And of course, we set a lot of expectations and goals, and we're going to have new habits. I admit it. I also bought a habit calendar for myself. I'm very visual. I want to see things. So that's what we do in January. And then we start gym registrations, new classes, labs, marathons, productivity systems, new routines, new commitments, new everything. And I'm already, I feel it in my chest. Like when I say all this new everything, new, I feel the burden. Do you feel that? I feel that already. But before we look at January, let's look at what happened before. This January that we're now describing is coming after 2 exhausting months, November and December. Do you remember what happened in November and December? November, we had end-of-year deadlines, yearly reviews, Sinterklaas, dinners, Christmas, celebrations, gifts, invitations, traveling, family visit, family dynamics, constant stimulation, constant. So what is actually our emotional capacity and mental capacity to start the new year after November and December? What are we doing? Why are we wondering why we don't have energy? Look at what happened November and December, and it happens every November and December. We go manic. So yes, this intensity is actually an overcompensation, because productivity culture says, yeah, you have to change from day one. If you don't change in January, then, just skip the whole year. What's the point in starting later? But actually, January is not the only month for new beginnings. February is a good month. March is a good month. September is a great month for new beginnings as well. It's not the end of the world. You see this all or nothing, where we place all the bets in January. We start this year with all or nothing, and we beat ourselves for that. Like, oh, I have to do that in January, otherwise I'm completely lost and messed up. We do that to ourselves. We put that burden on ourselves. So for many of us, January starts already with a nervous system on the edge. And what do we mean? Let's talk a little bit about the nervous system. What do we mean with that? The body is still flooded with cortisol, the stress hormone, because of these 2 months that we just described, the months of overwhelm. And the brain, after coming out of this constant stimulation, doesn't want one more reason to be stimulated. It needs rest. It needs a break. It craves for a break. And sometimes we don't even know that our nervous system needs a rest. So here are some signs that you can actually check with yourself. Maybe your brain feels foggy, like you cannot think clearly. It takes you time to even read a page in a book. You feel restless, like you have to do, there must be something that you have to be doing, but you don't know what. Fragmented sleep, like you don't have quality sleep, uninterrupted sleep, but you wake up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., fully awake, and you even feel like, I'm not going to sleep now. I'm fully awake. How about I go behind my computer and work? That idea even crosses your mind. That amount of stimulation is happening in your body. This 3 a.m. Waking up is definitely a sign of too much cortisol in your body. When you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling fatigued, that's a sign that your nervous system is craving for rest. Or even when you want to be alone and less social, you cancel social events. You don't want to be with other people. You really want to be on your couch, spending time alone. That's not a personality flaw. That's a signal that a system is asking for recovery. And with that overloaded nervous system, we go to January and we start the year with that conviction, but then this year I'm going to crush it. This year I'm going to be better than before. And of course, we're going to set some goals. I'm not saying we will start, our year being completely loose and, wherever the flow takes us. But these goals they are on the practical level. And before the practical level, we have to take two crucial steps. We have to do something before that. And one step is called alignment. We have to check whether these goals align with what we truly want. Or do we just set these goals out of peer pressure or comparison, or this year I'm going to prove that I'm good enough, the never good enough energy. What's the reason we're picking this goal? What's the reason that we want to go to the gym? Just because everybody goes to the gym and we hear about all these new gym, yearly offers? First of all, alignment. And secondly, regulation. Yes, you are going to set these new goals, but is your nervous system ready for that? Is your nervous system resourced to hold this change? Or are you trying to build a new life on a tired body? How's that going to go? What do you think? That's not going to go well. Are we trying to build a new life on a tired body? That's going to be tricky. So without alignment, goals feel borrowed from somebody else, empty, not ours. And without regulation, goals feel impossible. That's going to take double energy. Try that. So I want to suggest 3 tips. It's not the only tips, but 3 tips to start the year. And of course, they are on the emotional and the practical level. So how do we start the year with a slow, mindful pace? That's the question. The question is not how am I gonna nail it in January. The question is, how am I gonna start my year with slow and mindful pace, with safety in my body and regulated nervous system? Not by pushing harder, that's not gonna happen like that, but by making a different kind of inner move. And my first tip would be, instead of starting the year with self-criticism, remembering all the things you didn't do last year, how about you start with self-forgiveness instead of self-criticism? Instead of thinking how you failed last year, how about you remind yourself that you did your best? You grew in some areas for sure, and you didn't grow in some others, or you didn't grow as much as you wanted. Again, we are stepping out of the all or nothing. How about you remind yourself that human limitations are not failure, are not a moral failure, are not a reason to shame yourself. You're not a bad person that gets in the bad list of Santa Claus. And of course, how about context? Look what happened around you when you didn't meet that goal that you thought you're going to meet and you promised to yourself that you're going to meet. Yes, you didn't get the promotion, for example, but maybe the reason you didn't get the promotion is because, for example, you were going through a painful divorce and you were not so much focused on your career development. Let's see a little bit of the context. You were surviving a divorce and you were accusing yourself for not getting the promotion. That's cruel. That's really cruel. Or maybe you didn't start your business. Let's say you're not working in an organization. You wanted to start your own business and you postponed it and postponed it. And then now you're saying to yourself, oh my God, I'm such a huge procrastinator. I said to myself, I'm going to start my business and I didn't. But did that happen because you were supporting maybe a family member who was sick, who was grieving, who needed you? Maybe the reason you spend less time in yourself, it's because you spend more time in somebody who really, really needed you. If you had 40% capacity and you gave 40, you actually gave your 100%. That's the self-forgiveness. You didn't wake up in the morning thinking how I'm going to mess up my life. No, you didn't say that. The second practice is practice self-compassion. which means that I deserve rest without having to earn it first. If you had 2 very exhausting months, November and December, and your body really craves for rest, and you really want to stay at home, and you don't want to go out, and you really want to put your ducks in a row first, do that. You don't need permission. You don't need to nail January so that you can have a break in February. No. You don't need to punish yourself into becoming a better person. You don't need to achieve through punishment and torture. And yes, you are disappointed, okay, of course, you wanted more, exactly, but you can be disappointed and still be worthy. We didn't achieve all we wanted, and we are still okay. We don't beat ourselves for being human. And now the third practice, we talked about nervous system. So regulating the nervous system. How do we do that? Simple practices. We start with simple practices. Pick activities that take only, a short amount of time. We don't want to make it complicated. That signal safety in your body. When we are overloaded with cortisol, the stress hormone, our body feels that we are not safe. So what is an activity that can signal the opposite to your body? Like, for example, a 10-minute walk, without having to listen to a podcast and make notes, or listen to the news, or talking to somebody, discussing problems, or talking about work. No. Going for a walk, being mindful, being calm. 10-minute walk, it's okay. Listening to music. When you're listening to music, when you're dancing with music, when you're singing along with music, your nervous system says, oh, she is dancing, so probably things are safe now. We can sit back. That's how you signal safety in your body. Drinking your tea without your phone. You don't need to do 2 activities at the same time. Again, that's survival mechanism. I need to do 2 so that I can make the most out of the time that I have. Tea without your phone. Lunch without your phone. So that's one thing, just one gentle anchor, one activity that brings safety to your body. Reduce decisions. Second one. January is supposed to be decisions, but you don't need reinvention in January. It's okay. It can also happen in February. You don't need to start all your great habits in January. Less decision. So choose one small focus. Take out one decision from January. Just take it out from your list. Put it in February or March. And wait. For this habit needs to wait. And then the third tip for regulating your nervous system, have a soft start and a soft finish of your day. Don't start your day on the edge, like you know that in 10 minutes you have to be behind your computer and you wake up like 15 minutes before. That's living on the edge. Again, you're starting the day with too much cortisol. The same thing with when you go to bed. No emails, no news, no scrolling for at least 2 hours before you go to bed. Soft start, soft finish. That's a boundary that you're setting for January for regulating and resetting your nervous system. So, just to be clear, it's not that I don't believe in goals in January. I am very much goal-oriented, for sure. But I don't want the goals that are rooted in the spirit of comparison, in all or nothing, in self-criticism, and in never good enough. That's what I am taking out from the goals. And of course, as we said, we always have the February and March. And instead of setting goals, how about we set meaningful intentions? And meaningful intentions means that we sit back and we figure out what matters. Why am I choosing the gym? Why the gym matters to me? And I have a whole framework that I use for myself in order to find what matters, to prioritize it, before I give something my time, my energy, and my money. Before I give all these things to these activities and overload my nervous system, which is actually my tool for my work. If a psychologist is not regulated, they're not calm, the most important tool is not working for them. So instead of doing and choosing activities that don't matter and overloading my nervous system, I have the framework that I use. And I would like to invite you to do that together with me this year. And actually, I have a webinar coming up in two weeks. Yes, in 2 weeks. And it's called The Year You Choose Yourself. And we will do a guided exercise. We'll do it together in real time so that we can set meaningful intentions based not on other people's goals, but on your values, so that you don't start spending energy on goals that don't fit. You will actually see what needs to be prioritized, what matters to you, and you will feel aligned, you will feel fulfilled, you will feel focused. You will know what's the focus of this year, and in peace with what you choose. That's the secret behind making the right decision, knowing why you chose it. There's no right decision per se, a universal right decision, but if we know why we chose it, that's why it's going to be the right decision. So you will see in the comments below the link for this webinar. It's on the 28th of January, and we will spend an hour and a half together to figure that out, to work on that framework. And I'd love to have you with me to explore that together. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for attending this event and for listening. And feel free to share with other people who are also in the same belief that January is for hustling, but it's not for hustling. It's for resetting your nervous system. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day and take good care of yourself.